So many of us do that on a daily basis. We tell ourselves things about ourselves that simply aren't true. So what do you do about that? Instead of having these beliefs and repeating to yourself that you cannot do something because you've never done it before or you've never been good at it before, we have to turn that into positive projections of what we can do. So instead of, if you're trying to lose weight, instead of telling yourself, I've always struggled with my weight, so long as you are saying that, you are going to continue to live it. You've got to stop that negative self-talk and limiting the belief you have in yourself. It's Evie here. Welcome to EML Radio, where we are always talking truth. All of those things you need to hear that nobody else is willing to say. Hello there. Welcome back to EML Radio. Today's episode is short and sweet, but very powerful and meant to get you thinking about how your mindset is holding you back from reaching maybe your fitness goals, your weight loss goals, your professional goals, or any other areas of your life where you are trying to achieve success. So I've got 5 things in your mindset that are most likely holding you back. You ready? Number 1, self-limiting beliefs. This came up in a conversation that I was having with someone that I interviewed for the podcast, and it struck a chord with me how many times we tell ourselves that we are less than what we really are. And how many times we tell ourselves this story that we're not good enough. We have never been very outgoing. We have never been into exercise. We've never been athletic. All of those things that we tell ourselves that really aren't true. And the idea that even if they were true in the past, maybe you weren't athletic growing up. But does that mean that you can't be ever? No. So often we tell ourselves things about ourselves that just simply aren't true and definitely don't have to hold true in the future. So when I was interviewing this last guy for the podcast, which is really great, it's coming out next week, he was saying, I never thought I was good looking. I never thought I could be attractive. I never thought that I could be fit or in shape or lose weight. And then I never really thought that it mattered. And so many of us do that on a daily basis. We tell ourselves things about ourselves that simply aren't true. So what do you do about that? Instead of having these beliefs and repeating to yourself that you cannot do something because you've never done it before or you've never been good at it before, we have to turn that into positive projections of what we can do. So instead of, if you're trying to lose weight, instead of telling yourself, I've always struggled with my weight, so long as you are saying that, you are going to continue to live it. You've got to stop that negative self-talk and limiting the belief you have in yourself. Instead, what do? You turn that into, I am not going to struggle with my weight any longer. I am not going to walk in a room and feel uncomfortable any longer. I am not going to show up at a business meeting and not speak my mind and add value to the company I'm building or the company I work for. Whatever that limiting belief is, We need to turn it into a positive, affirming action statement going forward. Number 2, always thinking that everybody else has it easier than you. This is a really common one in the fitness industry, or people that are healthy and fit. For some reason, everybody that's not healthy or fit or is overweight seems to think that those people who aren't have it easier somehow. They tell themselves, well, I don't like to work out. Well, guess what? Most people that are fit don't really like to work out either. The only difference is those of us that are fit versus those that are not actually are disciplined to do the work. And that's true in every area of our life, guys. If there are people that are ahead of you in business, it's not because they had it easier than you. It's probably because they are doing more work or more intentional work to get the things that they want from life. So instead of constantly sitting back and thinking how hard you have it and how much you struggle, we need to, again, turn that into a positive thought process and a positive action moving forward. We need to say to ourselves, you know what? If he or she can do it, there's no reason that I can't do it too. Now, sure, there's always going to be areas of our life where some people excel at things more than us, but that doesn't mean that we can't do it. It means that we just have to work harder for it. And I guarantee you, most of the people out there that are in a place in their life where you wish you were, it isn't because it came easy to them. It is going to be because they are actually doing the work and working harder than you. Even if it's 1, 2, 5% harder than you, they are most likely working harder. Number 3, always relying on motivation. You hear me pound the table on this all the time. It is not about being motivated. So as long as we have the mindset that we can't do something because we don't feel motivated to do it, you're never going to do it. But that is you holding yourself back. That is you relying on something that is always going to be fleeting. You're not always going to feel motivated. And I promise you, most of the time when it comes to your health and fitness, you're probably not going to feel motivated 99% of the time. So as long as we are relying on this kind of supernatural, wonderful, charged up feeling of motivation, we're never going to hit the goals. We're never going to see the accomplishments. Because when you are not motivated, what has to happen instead? We have to have discipline. So instead of relying on motivation and a motivation-focused mindset, what we need to do is shift that mindset into what action we need to take, regardless of how we feel about doing it. So shifting away from relying on motivation and shifting our mind into, today I'm going to take action on this, this, or this, because it has to be done regardless, even though we don't feel like it. And the best thing about this one is that when we actually take action, when we don't feel motivated, oh shit, that's where all the reward is. We feel so good about ourselves when we've done something that we didn't feel like doing. When you feel like doing something, that's easy. But when we do the things that we don't feel like doing or that come difficult to us, man, that is where the reward comes from, and that's where the momentum comes from. Okay, so number 3, you can't rely on motivation in your mindset. It's not going to happen. Number 4, always wanting things to come easy. And this kind of goes along with the other ones that I've already addressed. Thinking things have to be easy in order for us to accomplish them. Guess what, guys? None of the stuff that's easy produces much results. Instead, we have to be willing to take on the things that are difficult and go so far as to challenge ourselves to do things on purpose that are difficult. That's where the mindset gets developed. That is where mental strength gets developed. So we cannot rely on things being easy. Easy is just that. It's easy, and it produces very little results. We have to be willing to accept that things are going to be a struggle, and then move into a place in our minds where we actually embrace that struggle because we know how far that can take us in life. And lastly, number 5, constantly telling yourself that you have time. Tomorrow, I'll do it. I'll start next Monday. When summer's over, I'll start taking better care of myself. Once we all can be out and about again because of this whole COVID deal, then I'll start taking care of myself. When I feel a little more comfortable in my own skin, then I'll go join a gym. When my kids are older, I'll have more time and I'll start taking care of myself. When I retire, someday. I hear this from people all the time. And guess what? If you're not willing to do it now, chances are it's not going to happen when your kids are grown. It's not going to happen when you're retired. What we do today affects what we do in 1, 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. Because it's not about someday. All of the changes and all of the success that we want in our life and the fulfillment in our life, it comes from doing the things every day. Because successful habits breed success. And if we're just going to sit back and go, well, someday I'll take care of this, guess what? You're not developing the habits. So your chance of having the success in the future is very slim, if not nil. And secondly, you don't actually know that you do have time. None of us know when this all comes to an end. Right? We try to avoid that thought because it's uncomfortable for most people to think about. But the truth is, we don't know how much time we have. We don't know when all of this is coming to an end. So we have to shift away from the someday mindset to today is the day that I start creating new habits. I wake up every day saying, I am going to make change and live my best life today. I'm not going to wait for some event to happen in the future for me to start living my best life and taking the best care of myself that I possibly can. So, here's the truth I want to leave you with today. If you want to create change, if you want to lose the weight, stop the drinking, start having a better marriage, improve your career, change careers, whatever it is, wherever you want success, it all starts with your mindset. The truth is, most of us have all of the tools we really need. When it comes to health and fitness and nutrition, most of us really do know what the right thing is to do. We have the knowledge, we have the skills. What has to change is the mindset. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Always a pleasure. Hopefully these 5 areas of mindset, the holding you back, will be helpful to you and help you start thinking about the ways you are limiting yourself in your success because of your mind. Take care. We'll see you next time.